So you have to find your peak hours. I think that's the term. So put something in your calendar and time the stuff that matters on your peak hours. I think that's really good strategy. And siguro if to add lang an actual tool that we use, sabi nyo, diba, may calendar na nakapangalan. Kami bro, may Trello pa kami. May Kanban. Di ba yung Trello, merong
Wow.
calendar yon.
Yeah.
So merong schedule ng anong oras yung yung grocery, di ba?
Welcome to Kakang Computer, where tech meets wit and wisdom. This episode will be talking about time management for IT professionals, where tagline is Master the art of managing your time effectively. Okay, so let's start about this. Before we go through the actual time management, can you guys give a little bit more of background on what do you actually need to manage in terms of your time? Maybe let's start with John.
Oh, yeah, right. Managing in terms of time really depends on the kinds of responsibilities you have inside and outside of your work. So most developers, they will only think that their only tasks are like coding or executing stories, right? But for people who have more responsibilities, they have to think about management in terms of a company. They have to worry about meetings with higher ups, bosses. And then for those with families and personal obligations, you have to think about those as well. So effectively, it gets more complicated the longer you are in the industry.
Yeah, awesome. How about you, Joshua?
Same. So from my end, definitely there's the individual work that we have to worry about, and there's the management work also. So that's within the work space. But of course, after work hours, you also have to deal with yung life stuff. So yeah, so it's about managing your energy, managing your time, and also making sure that there are results while you're able to take care of all of these things. Yeah.
How about you, El?
For me, na-imagine ko parati yung pag-pray ng more time.
All of
Kulang
us
eh.
do.
Parang kulang eh. At the same time, yung parang di matulog. But the reason why you would think of that is because you are always given different deadlines, no? And in the field right now, you are challenged with multiple projects, no? I'm an agency myself where I handle multiple clients, and to make your agency work, you put some wait time in between, and yung wait time you do that work. And the challenge comes in if yung queuing and scheduling becomes quite difficult or nag-overlap, no? So you would definitely just try to figure out, I hope there's more time. I hope you clone yourself. But the reality is that nangyayari lang to because you have to meet some of the demands that you cater into your field na usually multiple projects and crucial deadlines. And I hope maybe as we talk more, we discover nga, no, ano ba talaga yung way para makasurvive on how to manage this. Kasi I can really say, hindi naman siya all wish lang. No? Hindi lang prayer lang. Hindi naman talaga.
Yeah. I'm definitely in the same boat as you. We're technically a software to venture firm, so we have multiple startups under our one company, and then I'm the CTO. So technically, all of those startups are under my wing in a technical manner. So I have to balance all of those products, and unfortunately, they're all out in the wild. They're not just POCs anymore. They're all out in the wild. And yeah, like John said, there's also personal life, which goes to our first question. What time management strategies have worked best for you in both your academic and professional life? Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I have a story to tell about that. When I was 9 years old, my grandmother wrote down a schedule in paper for me to what to do in the day. And as a kid, I found it so rigid. Sabi ko, ano ba to? Di ba, bakit ko susundin? Bakit ko susundin to? Playtime ko 4 to 5 p.m. lang. Why? Ganyan. Tawag dito. And basically I forgot about that, pero as I got older, I found the wisdom in that you didn't only really schedule your work time. Most people use their for example use their Google calendars for just work time. I increasingly got dependent on tools and calendars for even personal tasks, and even for rest and recreation. It got to a point, of course, a lot of us professionals neglect our R&R, di ba? And our time for growth, our time for learning new things, reading books and things like that. That yeah, sometimes you just have to set aside a time. And for any techie guy, that means putting in an appointment in your calendar for even your personal stuff. Yeah, that's what worked for me.
Yeah, actually, me and my wife have this calendar named Fran and Louisa's Calendar of Adulthood.
Yep.
Yeah, and we place
Okay.
everything there. This podcast, the talk I had this afternoon, sorry. Yeah, all of it is there. So I'm definitely in the same boat as you, John. How about you, Joshua?
Yes, actually very interesting yung question for time management strategies. So what I will share is based on my own experience. So yeah, so basically what I did and what worked for me is one of the things I learned over the past couple of years was productivity is a function of the time you allocate and the energy and focus that you have. So for example, if let's say na you started this work, let's sabihin na natin 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., comparing the quality of work na same amount of time, let's say 2 hours sa morning versus 2 hours pagpagod ka na, let's say 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., the quality varies. Minsan, mababa talaga yung quality pagdating ng 3 to 5 kasi pagod ka na. So for me, if I'm able to ensure na mataas yung energy level and focus for 10 hours, then I'm able to ensure na in addition to just blocking off time, I'm able to ensure a very mataas talaga yung quality of work kahit na umabot ka ng 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Kasi you're able to maintain that yung high energy level. So what I'm doing is,
Yeah, so in that sense, it's not just time management; it's energy management.
yes. So yes. So basically yes. Sige. Okay na. Sige. So basically what I do is I sort my task from hardest to easiest, especially the ones that require most energy and focus, usually sa first 3 hours of the day, para I'm able to have the best output for that. Tapos yung mga less risk na mga task, doon na siya sa afternoon. Yan yung isa. And then what I do is, usually kasi when we talk about mga workout exercises, ang usual na best practice is 3 times a week. However, post-pandemic, what I realize is, parang hindi ko magana yung 3 times per week. Baka kailangan pang gawing 6 times. So I experiment with that. Siyempre, pag nagbasa ka sa internet, parang, 3 times lang yan, baka over-exercise ka. Pero yun yung gumagana for me. So as long as you're hydrated, you eat well, you sleep well also, you're able to ensure na yung output okay and okay din sa health and well-being.
I find it hard that you sleep a lot, though. I mean, considering the number of books you've put out.
Yeah. Someone said in one of our previous companies na for you to make something existing, you have to take it out of your brain. Kaya, so anything that you plan out should be written. Kaya I think the calendar, sabi ko sana calendar method, pero iba yun. You
I
put
think it was Einstein who said that.
Yeah, you put,
Yeah.
So, you have to put everything in a calendar. And dati kasi, di ba, planner, no? So, yung mga Starbucks planner natin dyan, gamitin naman natin na planner. But now, yun nga, buti na lang, phone na lang, no? Calendar. And I really like, as you said, you have to figure out what's your, katulad sa internet, di ba, may peak hours.
Yeah.
So, anong peak hours mo? Kung ang peak hours mo is umaga, actually, when you mentioned sa umaga, no, ako baliktad eh. Ang nocturnal ang powers ko lumalabas. And because I think sa gabi, mabilis ang internet. Sa gabi, walang istorbo. So, you have to find your peak hours. I think that's the term. So, put something in your calendar and time the stuff that matters on your peak hours. I think that's really good strategy. And siguro if to add lang an actual tool that we use, sabi nyo, di ba, may calendar na nakapangalan. Kami bro, may Trello pa kami. May Kanban. Di ba yung Trello, merong
Wow.
calendar yon.
Yeah.
So merong schedule ng anong oras yung grocery, di ba? And abutin na lang sa Trello, di ba? May yung checklist. So nandun yung bibilin. And I think those strategies really work. So calendar, we've said na so far, putting your peak hours. But I think also choosing a tool talaga definitely would be helpful. Sana kung meron lang talaga family work-life balance tool talaga.
Trello is amazing for that. Kahit ako naglalagay ako ng life goals sa
Oh,
Trello.
yes. Oh my, sinabi mo life goals, diba? Kami, I want a renovation on this.
Yes, exactly.
Nakalagay doon, di ba?
In 2 years,
Yeah.
3 years.
And that's how you manage your time, di ba? So, you definitely want to put everything in there na nakasulat. Kaya nga sabi, if it's not existing, it's not gonna happen. Kaya sulat. So, either Trello, calendar, what.
Yes, please visit our website at tutorialstudio.com. We provide free courses for AWS and, of course, premium resources for certification exams for AWS, Azure, Kubernetes, and GCP.
Yeah. I'm also a firm believer of the analog method when you write everything. Right? I actually just bought an iPad wherein there is a notes there. Notes
May
and then
pencil pa,
you
no?
pen a pencil, then
Oo.
just write. Yeah. Especially when I'm overwhelmed, there's a lot of things to do. It helps when you write it down. It actually not from just reducing your anxiety. You actually know the action items that you need to finish, right? Because if you're just keeping it inside your head at all times, it can be very, very overwhelming. But one main thing, aside from all of the automations that you guys have mentioned, what really worked for me is this. Even now, my watch is have a 30-minute timer.
Oh.
Right? I forgot to remove it because most of the time we do schedule our lives a lot, but we forget that we don't keep track of it properly. So for me, what it works for me is I put a 30-minute timer, and if it's a very demanding task, sometimes just 10 minutes, so I know how much time I'm spending on something. Like for example, there is a bug. If I don't finish this in 1 hour, that means I need to move on. Something like that.
Yeah.
Because maybe everything is just very overwhelming for me right now that I can't fix it. It just happens. Maybe tomorrow when I sleep, the next day I'm focused and alive, like energy management, like you said.
Yep.
Maybe I can fix it rather than wasting 6 hours of futile effort. I just check my time, keep track of it, even in my gaming time. Like in my rest time, when I play Monster Hunter Wilds, like you can easily lose yourself, for example. All of that is tracked. So that's what, and I have a goal for the day. I need to finish that no matter how I can. Just keep a track of time. Yes. Which comes to our next question, because you mentioned energy management, right? How do you guys handle procrastination? Like, what if you're just very low energy? How do you keep yourself from, how do you revive your motivation to work again on that day? Or do you just let it be? What are your thoughts regarding that? Even though you have a deadline, I know it happens quite a lot. You know your deadline tomorrow, but suddenly the god of laziness cursed you with something just, I can't do this today, something like that. But you have to, right? But so how do you do that? What's your advice to people listening to this podcast? Yeah.
That's true. Number one, procrastination is something that you have to treat as a symptom of either you've overstretched yourself and then you've lost motivation or you've lost energy, or there simply are, you're just overwhelmed. Sometimes it's like that. On other days, it's just a lack of motivation, and basically it's a lack of motivation. Siguro it's something that you could counter with the discipline of just being present. Sometimes just forcing yourself na, I have to go there, I have to open this Jira board, I have to open this ticket, I have to look at it again, and then I have to write, what do I understand about this thing that I don't Kasi usually we procrastinate on things that we know we will suck at. We procrastinate on things that we know we wouldn't be able to execute this perfectly. And this is why you don't want to face it. So sometimes you just have to face yourself in the mirror and say, nah, all right, let's understand why do I think I can't do this properly. Yeah, and usually that leads to some insight or some motivation. Or if it's really so bad na overwhelmed ka na, maybe it's time to pull in somebody else. Pair with you, whether it's pair programming, or pair problem solving. Yan. Sometimes you need other inputs na eh. Kapag procrastinate ka na, sabihin, hindi mo na kaya yun. So you need help. Yun. I guess that's how I've dealt with procrastination.
Yeah, awesome. How about you, Joshua?
Yes, siguro I'll share a story na rin. So, so on my end, I'll share my procrastination story while I was writing my books in the past. Kasi syempre, after work hours, even sabihin natin 9 hours, 10 hours lang yung work, minsan nag-exceed talaga to 15 hours, 16 hours eh. It really happens. Work is definitely much harder this past 3 to 4 years eh. I mean, compared to the first 10 years. Nung nag-pandemic, suddenly parang nag-iba yung game
Oh
eh.
my God.
Diba?
So, parang
Yeah.
nangyayari sa mundo talaga. Parang hindi ko yung trigger ng pandemic was to change everyone's mindset about what to do in lives nila.
Yeah.
Pero yun, di ba? Parang yun yung isang reality na things are harder now. Parang before, parang medium yung difficulty ng game. Ngayon, parang super hard na eh. No? So, meron talagang times na, especially nung last 3 years while I was writing the books, ano talaga yun? Parang even if umabot ng 700 pages yung mga books or 600 pages, I had my own set of challenges, and definitely that's one. Parang inability to allocate time. And may mga times na alam mo yung pagod ka na mag-work, and then you also have to write book chapters after. Kasi syempre may deadlines din yung publishing house eh.
Yeah.
So what I do is, what works for me is, there are 2 techniques. One is just working on it for 1 hour, and then sleeping right after.
Yeah.
So basically I'm forcing my brain to change modes kahit na pagod. So kunyari pagod ako, gagawa ako ng 1 hour worth of work na walang expectation na may matatapos ako or not. So yung brain ko ma-force na mag-book mode, mag-chapter writing mode. Pagkatulog ko, pagkagising ko, hindi mo na ako kakain. And then yung brain ko programmed to write for another 3 to 4 hours. So it doesn't work for everyone like that. Pero if it works for you, then good. But it's about finding what works for you. Kasi when it comes to procrastination naman, it's normal. It's about accepting that it's normal. And we're all humans. We're not machines. So once we're able to just feel it out na, basta gumagalaw, it doesn't have to be perfect at the start. But if you're able to have multiple iterations and you're able to gain momentum 3rd hour, 4th hour, then you'll realize na baka illusion lang yung procrastination. And it's just us not having the ability to warm up. Parang engine. Parang sa start, mahirap na onte. Pero pag na-reach mo na yung certain level of velocity, parang ang dali na bigla. Parang dumadali bigla yung work kasi nag-4th hour, 5th hour, 6th hour. So it's about ano lang.
So parang agile, may spike, may sprint.
Sabihin ko nga sana eh. May spike eh. May spike. Amazing kasi parang ngayon, when I came here, sabi ko, yung mga ginagawa ko kaya, okay. Lahat mga sinabi niyo, mga ginagawa ko din eh. So, I'm really happy to hear, especially yung do it like very quick, like 1 hour, tapos literally tulog actually. Actually, papasalamat nga ako, meron na nung yung PlayStation Portal, di ba? Higa ka saglit, no? 30 minutes. Yun, change talaga. Very helpful ako dun. Very helpful sa akin yung mga mayroon kang tigil muna because it's like a reset. I think even when you do exercise, di ba, you don't just like 3 hours dire-diretso eh. Meron kang hinga ka muna, di ba? So yun ang counterpart kasi tama ba pag sa brain mo, no, parang muscle din na you have to let it recharge. And as hindi lang naman perspective kasi baka biologically din uminit na yung ulo mo eh. Naiinis ka na. So you have to really figure out something on how to recharge. But siguro kasi when I feel I'm doing procrastination, siguro tama yung kailangan acknowledgement eh. I want to say na okay lang mag-give up, no? Baka kasi yun yung akala na pag hindi ko natapos ngayon at tumigil ka, give up na ba talaga yun? Hindi pa naman. It's just a strategic retreat para panibago ulit. And ako kasi I've been working as an individual contributor. Medyo mahirap kang, lalo na nung nag-work from home, no? Ilang taon na ba ako nag-work from home? Parang 15 years na ako.
15 years?
Home, eh.
Intense, ah.
Oo, eh.
Wow.
Wow.
And
Even before the pandemic.
even before the pandemic, and doon ko talaga na ramdaman yung wala ka ng choice eh kasi wala kang kakalabitin, di ba?
Mhm.
You will just have to figure it out on your own. And sometimes you just really have to give up saglit and then try again. Yun talagang yung you fail for this time and you try again later. So I'm thankful na yung ganung activity pala is valid, no, at nagagawa natin. Pero for me, that really works for me. And I hope maramdaman din yun ng iba na it's not just figuring out schedule, but also yung enough power and strength or stamina to let's try again.
Yeah, I definitely am a believer of both, actually. If it's a symptom, probably, because one of the problems of procrastination is kapag nire-rationalize ko siya, is it my body asking for rest? Or is it because I'm just overwhelmed? So yeah, there are a lot of techniques there, and yeah, I also do it incrementally. So if there's a big task ahead of me, like for example, just this week, guys, I had a React.js workshop just last Friday, and then just this before I went to the podcast, I had a webinar with another college just before I went to this podcast, and I don't have materials for both, right? So you can imagine me dashing through procrastination to do it, else the students will suffer. But yeah, so whenever I had that, I have procrastinations, then I just rationalize: is it my body asking for a rest, or is it my brain just asking, hey, divide it into actual real tasks that you can do one by one until you achieve your goal.